4 members of the Conservation Commission present. I am opening the January 19th, 2021 meeting of the Rutland Conservation Commission. Let's start with the minutes from January 5. I don't know if anybody needs me to skim through them or not.
I make a motion to accept minutes as written.
There we go.
Second. Sorry.
Oh, the muting. I know. All right, roll call vote. Gentilucci.
Aye.
Danza.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Crane, aye. There we go. So what's next is a request for a certificate of compliance from Alan Dunkerley, 155 Barre-Paxton Rd. So okay. So there are actually 2 open orders, both ancient. The oldest one is from 2000, and there is nobody on the commission today who was present when these orders were written. But they've expired so long ago that there's nothing, I don't think there's anything we could do anyway, right, Melissa?
In terms of what?
Well, if there was anything that was not in compliance with the orders, because they never extended them.
Violation.
I guess we could, but
if it's open, but
we don't even have a documentation to know what it was for.
Yeah.
And then there's another one, which was from 2004, where, if I remember correctly, I'll just take a fast look down here at the signature page, but I am pretty sure that there was one current member who signed this order, and that was Eric Bigelow. So I haven't reached out to him to see what this is about, but it's the same kind of thing as before. It's an ancient order of conditions.
Peter, I believe when I was reading through this one had to do with work on the driveway, because I remember them talking about pitching it a certain direction.
Right.
Yeah. And I think this is the one that had a plan from land planning, I think. Not that we had it, but it was listed.
It was listed, right. The other one actually had a C attached from, I forget who said it was from. But in any case. Mr. Dunkley, I see you are on, so if there's anything you'd like to add, please do so. Just name and address, please, for the records. And you're still muted. Or you have nothing to add.
No, I'm here.
Oh, there you are. Great.
Okay, I'm sorry, just unmuted. Alan Dunkerley, I'm from 150 Middle Street in Portland, Maine. And the only thing I would add is, I bought this property 10 or almost 10 and a half years ago. Nobody said anything about anything. It was on my title insurance as an exception. Very small, never knew anything about it. I've come to looking at selling it right now, and it's becoming an issue with the buyer. And actually, these are both related to the builder who sold to one party, and then that party sold to me. So it's gone through a couple of sales. And I tell you the truth, I don't know what they even call for. I'm not an engineer and don't understand the language, but the buyer is holding up the sale and is ready to walk if this continues to be a problem. So what I've learned is to come to the commission and see what it is I need to do, if anything, at this point.
Well, I think you've done what you need to do, which is this next form that I'm about to display, which is the request for the certificate of compliance. So when you bought the property, the banks were just signing forms as quickly as they could to make sales. And what happened after the bubble burst in housing is that the banks started to pay a lot more attention to all the paperwork that needs to be done, because they were finding that some of their mortgages were invalid and they didn't need to be paid back. So now they're actually doing title searches properly on all the properties that want to get purchased to make sure that the titles are clear. And as you've discovered, this property has had two projects that required Conservation Commission orders of conditions to protect the wetlands that are nearby. So now it's our job to say, yes, these were the work was done to our satisfaction, or no, it wasn't. Tamika, when did this request come in? I don't remember anymore.
I want to say at least a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I was thinking we probably should have at least done a drive-by. Did anybody do a drive-by in the last couple of weeks?
I've driven
You're right,
past
I did
it.
not.
I heard Jared. I'm sorry, Melissa, I didn't hear
Oh.
you.
I said yes, I've driven past it. You know, there's not much to see from the road, so.
Of course. So I'll ask the question this way. Is a good reason for us to keep these orders open? Because we really have a couple choices, as Melissa said to me earlier, which is if there's a problem, we can just write an enforcement order instead of holding up the certificate of compliance. So what is the commission's pleasure on this today?
Well, I think, at least from driving by and looking at some of the aerials, it looks like the crossing would have been fairly farther or closer to the road. And I didn't see anything kind of note that made me curious about that. I think especially with the one that just says sketch from whoever it listed, not pretty confident of trying to even figure out what that one would be. So I guess I'd be more concerned on the crossing one. But you know, I didn't see anything necessary of out of the ordinary.
Okay. Gosh, people are coming in like crazy now.
Peter,
Tamika,
Bill
Bill,
is joining the meeting.
I was just saying, Bill's joining us right now. So I'll ask it again, pretty much the same way. Actually, here's what I should do. Just a second. Oh, of course it came up in the wrong window. La, 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 la. I'm sorry, what was the address again? I remember it's Barre-Paxton, but
155.
155. And then we'll add some wetlands and some contour. Oh, I see. So I don't know if that's a driveway. Let's put this map up. Right. So was the crossing? So the crossing would have been right back here, right, Melissa?
Yes,
Because it looks like this is the driveway.
yes, yes.
Okay, so I agree that would have been right up front.
Yeah. So, and I didn't see anything, you know, that screamed concern to me. You know, it's a very stable driveway.
But it's been there about 16 years.
And I think, is it gravel?
Yes.
Okay. Just want to make sure that's the right house I'm thinking of.
And the house itself is so far away from the wetlands.
Correct.
The only work that would have required anything from us is the driveway. So, morning. Oh, I don't know. I'm not going to ask that question. So I ask again. What is the commission's pleasure?
I'm fine with these. I did a drive-by and I looked kind of quickly just on either side of the driveway, and the wetland itself seemed to be in fairly decent condition for where it is. It's Barre-Paxton Road, but
Right.
you
Okay.
can kind of see it's a fairly large system, so.
Yeah, that looks substantial. Both of them, actually. Well, the northerly one's not as substantial, but still. Anyway, so I'll take a motion to sign certificates of compliance for both open orders of condition for 155 Barre-Paxton Road.
So moved.
And authorize Peter to sign.
Actually, Tamika, do I still need to sign?
Yes, because I still haven't received the check from accounting to send to the registry.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
still waiting on that.
All right, then amended as Tamika suggests.
I'll second.
All right, roll call vote. Gentilucci,
Aye.
Danza,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
Cannon. I think Bill might be surprised. I don't know if he expected me to call on it.
I'm going to abstain because I just came in on the end of the.
Yeah, these are ancient orders of conditions from 2000 and 2004 that are holding up a sale.
Okay, aye.
Crane, aye. I'm going to call that unanimous approval, so we'll get that signed.
Peter,
Yes.
Alan, before you go, where would you like me to mail these to? I know you're up in Maine, and obviously these will have to get registered down here.
Yes.
Where would you like?
Can you send it to my attorney in Worcester at Mountain Dearborn?
Would you mind sending that to me in an email?
I'll be happy to email you.
Thanks. Yeah, I don't think I had that, and I want to make sure I send it to the right place. So if you don't mind, that would be great.
I'll be do that as soon as I get off.
All right. Thanks, Alan.
Thank you, Tamika, and thank you, Boyd.
You're very welcome.
Have a good night.
Thanks, you too. So that one's done. Done and done. So now we have an actual order of conditions we want to take action on tonight for 28 and 30 Finn Park Road. To remind everyone, this is the project. It's on Pond, Turkey Hill Road's back here. Single residence taking the place of two smaller cabins. There'll be a well and a septic. There is a present well they're going to leave in place to service the three outbuildings here. We did have special orders for this one. Was there only the one? Natural vegetation should be kept to the greatest extent possible, etc.
Yeah, that's the only one that we had mentioned at the last meeting.
That's what I was thinking. I just want to be sure. I never trust my memory on anything. Are there any other conditions the board wants to place on this project? Here, I'd like a motion to approve this order of conditions, and where Peter gets to sign on behalf of the commission.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call. Gentilucci,
Aye.
Danza,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
Cannon,
Aye.
Crane, aye. There we go. Man, we're getting through this. Next. So we have we got a request in from the public asking, saying he has property on 1810 Road that he wants to do work, and he's wondering what paperwork he needs to supply. So I'm going to first pull up his plot plan. If I can click on it, there we go. So as you can see, 10 Rod Road, the house is existing. And as I understand it, is replacing this deck with a four-season room. Is that correct? That's everybody's understanding?
The builder is on the call as well.
Oh, great. Please fill us in. Make sure I'm not mistaking anything.
and the resident as well.
Well, if you just identify yourselves, name and address, please.
Sure. John Piker, 1810 Rod Road, property owner.
Hi, John.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you. You are correct. This would be replacing the existing structure.
Okay. And that's fine now, just for everybody's, so everybody can see it. There are some distance away, some wetlands that are mapped, and in fact, I will now pull up this, which ought to be it exactly. Right, this is 1810 Rod, and as I do my magic measurement tool, because we're going to go with the same footprint. Okay, now whatever I'm doing, I've lost myself. There we go. So the wetlands are roughly 80 feet from the edge of what is today the deck. So that's effectively the edge of the work zone. And there's no other work going on in this area, right?
Not at this residence, no.
Okay.
And Peter, just to point out, on the plot plan they submitted, the wetlands are quite a bit closer than what is on the aerials. I know they're just approximate on both, but.
Right. I do wonder where this approximate wetland line came from, because there's no. Let's actually go back in history. Tamika did a quick search. There have been no notices of intent, not even when this house was built. And it should absolutely have had a notice done, or something. There should have been some filing. So we don't know that the wetlands have ever been flagged. Now, that's not catastrophic. It's just, as Melissa notes, that they look so much closer on this figure. It's a little, the closer you are to the wetlands, the more we think about the paperwork that needs to be done.
Yeah. They're very far back.
Yeah, because if I trust this, if that's 20 feet, that's 25. And that's very different from being 80 feet away. So if you don't have anything that says that anybody who mapped wetlands, which is fine, then.
I actually did find one for 1810 Rod Road.
Oh, you did?
Just looked quickly. Yeah, it was in 1995.
Oh, I might not have looked back far enough. Thank you, Melissa.
Ah, okay.
I thought I looked earlier, but I must have been looking for something else at the time. Sorry.
We're all just slacking off here. Come on, it's January. So was that for the original house build, for the?
Yeah, it looks like the slew of them all got done in 1995.
Okay.
The whole development for the board's benefit was this house was built in 1997. It was phase 2 of 10 Rod Road Estates by Lenny Gangle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's who the permit looks like it was issued to.
Okay, well, that it helps some in that. Is there a measurement? Oh, we probably don't have the plans. Well, let me say that differently. It's too early for electronic plans, and we're not going to find the plans for the NOI in our current lack of filing system. So I'm willing to believe that the wetlands are, well, we know they're definitely within 100, but I can easily believe they're about this point without even going on the property, just because something was done and that makes me feel good. But I don't think, so let me stop yammering here. The question is, what do we want to require for paperwork for this work? So as I recall, let me go back to the paper. It said something about on techno metal posts. I admit I don't know what those are. Are those, what are there, sonotubes beneath them and then weather resistant metal posts above ground to hold up the room?
I could defer that to Dan Sweet. If he's not on, I think I can address that.
He
So
is on, but he's muted. So if he's
Oh,
trying to
okay.
speak, he's not able to.
Okay, so the existing deck, for the board's benefit, when Lenny built that, he actually built a raised area. So there's a small drop before you would even get to the back where the rest of the property line is there. And it's with tubes. So I believe similar.
I've unmuted. I apologize.
All right.
Oh, there you
Thanks,
go.
Dan.
I
I'll let you-
can explain if you'd like.
Yes, please, Dan.
Please.
So my name's Daniel Sweet of 9 Quill Roost Drive in Sterling, Mass. Sorry about that. I didn't realize I had to unmute this. Those are techno metal posts. So basically what we're going to do is, there's not going to be any excavation work at all. These are just piers that are driven down. It's like a screw anchor that gets driven 8 feet down into the ground and then the posts get fastened to the top of these anchors. And they are allowed to be used through by the building department.
Sure. Okay.
So we do a lot of Brady built sunrooms as well, and we use these all the time in these wetland situations where we are fairly close to the wetlands, and a lot of times what we end up doing is just putting up a barrier, and sometimes there's maybe a special permit required with maybe an order of minor order of condition or something like that, but usually we don't have to go through the full process. But that's why we wanted to have this meeting tonight, so we could determine what needs to be done so we can move forward with this.
Sure. Okay. Well, now that I think we understand the set of work, how would as I see it, we can go full NOI, we can go RDA. Since we're being 80 feet away, RDA can work for us. Is there another option?
I think I would be comfortable with the RDA, given, they're just kind of minor impact footing type.
Right, so they're not even excavating.
Right.
It's not exactly land disturbance in our case.
And it's in an existing footprint. So.
Right. So you think so we call it an RDA, the DEP calls it a request for determination of applicability, where you ask us, if you basically are asking us, is the work in jurisdiction, and do you need to file a full notice of intent? So it sounds like what we're talking about here is you can submit an RDA to us, a request. Yeah, you submit the request to us, and in the next meeting we can, based on the discussions we've had today, assuming nothing else changes, we can approve that next time.
Okay, that sounds fair. I appreciate that.
Sure.
Peter, if I may just add for John and Dan, there's no filing fee for the RDA. However, we do have to publish it in the paper, which is a $35 fee. So if I could just ask you guys to drop off or mail a check to Town Hall for $35 payable to the Telegram and Gazette, and then I will get that published for you guys so we can do this at the next meeting on, I believe it's February 2nd.
Okay, whose attention should I put that to?
If you just put attention Concom, because my name is difficult to spell. Yeah, if you just do attention Concom, the buildings are closed right now, but there's a Dropbox out front.
Dropbox,
Yep, and if you just do it that way, they'll get the check to me and we'll be good to go.
All right, you need it for how much?
35 payable to the Telegram and Gazette.
Okay, I'll take care of it.
Thank you so much.
If you don't mind me asking, what is the deadline to have the paperwork in for the publishing?
I would say I would have to get that to them by this Friday in order to meet the deadline. But the form is not very cumbersome. You shouldn't have a hard time filling it out. So if you can just get it to me by maybe Thursday at the latest.
Of this week?
Of this week, yeah. It should be a fairly quick thing. The form is on.
How many pages is it?
Maybe
it's honestly just filling out your information and what you're doing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's right on the DEP's website. Yeah, it's basically just, the project location and project description. And then you can just send that to me in an email, and I can I mean, honestly, I really don't need that to get it published because I have the basic information. But just to make sure it doesn't get lost in the shuffle, so we'll be good to go for next time.
Okay, so I could pull that RDA form off the DEP website, you said?
Yep, it's
And then
right on the DEP website.
Okay, that's great. I appreciate that info.
No problem. If you run into any trouble, just shoot me an email and I'm happy to help you.
Okay, thank you for that.
All right, thanks, guys.
Anything else?
No,
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, I appreciate the board's time. Dan, thank you very much, and have a pleasant evening, everybody.
all right,
you
thank
too.
you so much, everybody.
All right. Up next, administrative consent order for 188 Glenwood, which was our wetlands concern with the boards laid across to make a quasi bridge. So Tamika sent out this, well, as part of the drive for us, this administrative consent order. I've read through this. I'll give everybody a chance to read it through themselves if they haven't yet.
Here, I just wanted to add that Mark was okay with it as written, and he did send a signed copy back to me.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
So
I'll make a motion that Peter sign in behalf of the board.
Perfect.
Second.
Marvelous. Roll call. Clark,
Aye.
Gentilucci,
Aye.
Panza,
Aye.
Cannon,
Aye.
Rain Eye. Moving on. Yes. Glenwood Place. All right. So let me tell you things that I've learned and things that I haven't done over the past 2 weeks. First, let's talk about the things I haven't done. I have not been out to visit the properties. Work has been crazy, and I'm not making excuses. I'm trying to explain only why I didn't make it out. I'm hoping to get there at the end of this week, and I will arrange it with the landowners to make that happen. You know, we'll find an agreeable time. And Jared, I'd like you there as well. So I think you're going to be one of you and I and each of the landowners will figure it all out.
Yeah, that sounds good, Peter. Yeah, just let me know when we get it scheduled.
Absolutely. Things I have learned. So New England Environmental Design, Julian Vertruba, did the work for this, for the, what, I don't want to call it a subdivision, it's not a subdivision, but for all the lots on there, on Glenwood Place. And I asked him, and all he did is he didn't go looking for wetlands. He looked for wetlands within 100 feet of the work, of the limit of work. And there were none within within that space. And so that's why there weren't filings for those, because it wasn't required. So Julian has not evaluated them to determine if they are jurisdictional or isolated or whatever. So it's up to us up to us as a commission to proceed with no more information than we have today. Let's see. Questions on any of that?
I just have a different comment. I have to pop off for a little bit, but I'm going to try and come back if we're still going.
Well, I hope we'll be done before then. Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks, Melissa.
If you need me, you know where I am.
Radio, thanks.
All right.
So Peter,
Yes, sir.
the tree cutting and whatever in this area that's in question
Yes.
was not designated. It was not designated either way. Is that what we're trying to say?
What I'm saying is that the wetlands we have the DEP map for the wetlands, and there has been tree cutting that's extended beyond the original limit of work for the original projects.
Okay.
So we as a commission need to decide if any of that work is under our jurisdiction or not. And we'll only know that by visiting the sites. And we'll bring 100-foot tape to measure it as well as we can with the best approximation of the wetlands that we can make when we show up.
All right, okay.
So Peter, that means if the wetlands were never flagged, then the blue tape that you and I found out there when we did walk one of the properties, that wouldn't have been an official flagging then. That would have been.
That is exactly correct.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, as I commented last time, all the flags, I think every flag was on, or virtually every flag was on a mountain laurel, which is an upland plant. So it suggests that the actual wetlands are smaller than the proposed flagging that was put there. How much smaller? We'll make some educated guesses when we look at it again. And then we need to actually find the other one. So that may be the visit to that site might be a little longer, Jared, just because we need to see if we can even locate something that seems to be a wetland with the environment the way it is now. Hopefully there'll be no more snow in that time frame before that.
Right. Yeah. It might be a little difficult, but we'll figure out what we can.
Yeah, and the truth is, if we can't make a determination until springtime, then we can't make a determination until springtime, and that's it.
Right. Yep. Agreed.
Anything else on this? Moving on to number 4, the emergency certification for beaver removal. All right, so I did exchange emails with the health agent. He said that he did sign a beaver removal order, and that means that there was a use for it. So I will sign the emergency, whatever the heck that was, I'll find it, the emergency certification. And then, because I have to read it again, and I also want to talk with the applicant to see if the work's already been completed. But still, we'll agree to it or not as a complete board at the next meeting, and hopefully that gets this one off the agenda forever. Questions? Moving on. Community Preservation Act. So has anybody given this any thought, and what are your thoughts on this? Actually, before I open it up, I should have given a little more info. Not a lot more, but a little more. I have approached planning board and asked them if they would support such a thing. And I didn't ask them to make a decision. I asked them to think about it. And I believe it's going to be on next Tuesday's agenda for their formal discussion as a board. I am going to do the same thing on Monday with the select board to say, hey, you guys need to think about if you're willing to support it. And I will actually do the same thing with the Agricultural Commission. Are there other boards we should be asking to get buy-in on this?
No, you got them all covered, Pete.
Okay. I wasn't sure if there was something somebody else thought. I mean, I don't think, with no offense to the Historical Commission, but I don't see a benefit to us asking the Historical Commission, for example. So I'm definitely going to do the select board. And in my opinion, by the way, if Concom or planning or ag or select, if any of them say, no, we're not willing to support it, then I think it's a dead duck.
I agree.
Because if we can't get complete support, I'm not going to go to war over this. It's not worth it. As much as I think it could be a good idea. But that's just my notion. As I said, I would like to open it up to anyone else with comments or thoughts.
None here.
I don't have anything, Peter.
Well, what do you think? Does anybody think let's start with, does anybody think it's a bad idea? Because there are pros and cons to everything that we would try to do. So
The only thing
Yeah,
Peter,
go
the
ahead.
only thing I would say is, how much of this is gonna come out of our tax land that we're charging taxes on right now?
I'm not sure I understand your question, Skip.
So if we're gonna preserve this land, are we buying it out of the tax title land that we are making money on at this moment?
It doesn't have to be tax title. My thinking was more that this would be somebody who's going to take land out of 61 or 61A or B, any of the 61s, that I would like to have a fund available so that the town can actually consider purchasing land that we think has value. Do I know which? I can't tell you today what the inventory of land is that we would want to keep, but that's another question for another day. It's just philosophically, do we think the town should be in a position to purchase land that's coming out of 61s?
Oh, we are at the moment.
We're
I mean-
able to purchase any of it?
Oh, yeah, any 61A that's going to be sold, the town has first rights of refusal.
Yeah, but we really, as a practical matter, we can't because we don't have money.
True.
And so,
Okay, I agree.
so the whole point of this is, if the town wants to be able to actually do it, we need to find a way to fund such an action. And that's what this Community Preservation Act is for, to actually, as a source of funding for this.
Okay, all right. I'll agree with that. We need some sort of funding if we're gonna do that, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, but by funding, you mean higher taxes for everybody.
That is exactly the one of the great arguments against it. And in fact, it's the argument that killed it last time that it was up. And frankly, you're right. It's the taxes would go up. How much would they go up? I don't know, because we're still at the think about it, not at the how much money would we raise in 1 year, as answering that question. Philosophically, there's no chance I would even consider any number higher than 1/2 of 1%. But 1/2 of 1% can still be quite a bit of money, and that might be too much. And again, especially for people on fixed incomes, it's another tax increase. So
I
now
don't
I'm not going to
think,
ask anybody to vote on this. Don't get me wrong. We're not at that point yet.
I don't think it would even pass a town meeting.
I honestly, Bill, I'm not certain. I know that it failed so badly last time, but I also think it wasn't presented well. And I also think that since then, the demographic in the town has changed significantly. So I'm not saying this is not a gimme. It's not easy. If we decide to go for this, it's going to be a slog, and I know it. But it's in my estimation, we either start setting money aside through taxes, because it's going to be the only practical way to do it, to purchase property that comes up for sale, or we let developers buy them all. Those are really our two choices.
I think, Peter, that's kind of the selling point, isn't it? That if you would prefer to keep these lands open and natural, that you may be in favor of this.
Well, in favor,
fund, right?
exactly right. And I think, and this is how important it is that the demographics have changed in town to make it at least possible to support it. And yes, you're right. If I were to be a salesman on this, I would say 2 words: Davis Hill. We couldn't even consider purchasing the property if we wanted to, and people wanted to, but we couldn't. So how would we change that the next time this happens? That, again, if I wanted to do a selling job, that's really how I would structure it.
Peter, I'm probably getting way ahead of myself and maybe too detailed with this question, but you mentioned one option for this would be percentage increase. I'm assuming that would be a percentage increase on all homeowners' property taxes. Is that how it would potentially work?
That's exactly how it works.
Okay. Would it be possible for it to simply be just a flat tax per
No,
year? No.
no,
Okay.
no, I, not that I recall. It is my understanding it is always a percentage of property tax.
Okay. I mean, my personal feelings, I think it's a good idea. I like it. I could definitely see that there will probably be a split decision as to if folks would want to see it happen or not, because I mean, nobody likes their taxes going up, obviously.
Well, yeah.
But you know, do the benefits outweigh that? Some people will say yes, and some will say no, I'm sure.
Right.
I personally like the idea. I guess I'm just thinking from my perspective, and maybe this is something we can think about, if while there have been some properties that have come out of, I'll get the terminology wrong, I'm sure, but out of like 61A recently over the last, say, year or two.
Mhm.
And maybe we could just think about, okay, if let's say hypothetically we had wanted to purchase one of those properties, how much would it have cost, and how long would it take to raise those funds through an extra tax? I'm just thinking of, is there a way that you can make this tax as low as possible, but still have it be worth it, and be able to actually purchase those lands? You know, it probably wouldn't be every year, but I don't know, maybe every 2 or 3 years something comes up that is worthwhile to purchase, and you try to spread it out amongst all the town residents to keep the tax increase as low as possible. I'm just thinking of ways to, again, how to sell it, and how to actually make it viable if it were to eventually go to a town vote.
Well, I will also say, I mean, Jared, what you're asking are good questions that we do need to answer. And part of this follows on, I'm just going to move into the open space and recreation plan a little bit, because there's some overlap here. Part of what you're supposed to do in the OSRP is to find the properties that the town would be most interested in purchasing. So we would have what is basically a prioritized list that if this stuff ever came up, we would go after it,
Right.
assuming that we had the funds to do that. And that's part of it. Part of it is also looking at, I mean, if I think about the last several 61A removals, Davis Farm was, do I remember, I might be remembering this wrong. Was it like a $500,000, Skip?
Yeah, or just about $500,000.
Yeah, so that farmland on Main Street was about $500,000. The couple there have been several from the Jarvie properties that, oh gosh, there was one expensive one because it had a house on it, but the undeveloped ones were in the, 60K, 80K. But 3 came up all at once. So we would need to do an analysis of how much money we're going to want and how quick, how much money we're going to want and how quickly we're going to want to get there. Mm-hmm. And that would also probably take some insight into the farmland or the land in town, and understanding how likely it is to come up for sale in the, let's just pick a time frame, in the next 5 years. How likely is it? I don't know. I see the Viners are selling property now. We've seen those, even though it's not 61. So this is not as simple as, yeah, we support it, let's go for it, and we'll raise 0.5% and that's it. We do need an actual plan. And as I said, part of it's going into the OSRP, and some of it's going to be with the planning. Part of that's going to feed in how we would present the CPA warrant article if it, ever came up. So, anybody else have any thoughts on this? Okay. Tamika, let's keep this on the agenda for next time because we'll talk about, I want to have a discussion post planning board and to tell about how this was received by the select board when that time comes.
Sure, no problem.
Thank you. So let's talk about the Open Space Committee. Tamika, have we heard from anybody who's willing to send us a member?
Yes, so far we have Leah Whiteman was nominated from the select board.
Mm-hmm.
The planning board has not officially discussed it yet, and I have not heard a reply from anybody with the Rutland Land Conservancy.
Okay. I will also say I was approached by AgCom saying that they would like to be involved. I said, sure, but they haven't nominated anybody yet. So our only question that I want to talk about today, and this is tough with only 4 of us here, who's interested, but I would also rule out Melissa. Who wants to serve on the Open Space Committee? And the reason I would rule out Melissa is that she volunteered for the master plan. And I think it would be unfair to her to serve on these 2 large documentation projects.
Peter, how many members did we need? Was it 2?
Yes, two slots are set aside for Concom.
Okay. I'm definitely interested. I'll admit I am hesitant to volunteer only because of other commitments, but I will say that I am interested and could potentially be convinced. Let's put it that way.
I'm thinking of putting myself on this in spite of my intelligence. I might be too dumb to stay off this committee. And I say that because my hands are the ones that typed the last one. So I understand a lot of the flow. And so here it ought to be group edits and group changes and not so much of my individual time this time to make it happen. So I think that if we plan it correctly, that that it won't be overburdensome. So I would probably also volunteer for this.
Peter, since you were on it last time, can you just give like a quick, summary of like what the level of effort was, kind of duration and, time commitment and things like that?
Yeah, it was a good year of work.
Okay.
And we would meet right after Concom. So talk about a long night. In those days, Concom started at 7, and it would take however long it takes. Then the Open Space Committee, whoever was now part of Concom, would join us, and we would have an Open Space Committee meeting for an hour. So that would be twice a month.
Okay.
We actually have more time this time, so I would want to, and I don't intend to hold these meetings, I don't expect that these meetings would necessarily follow Concom. Last time, remember, all of Concom was on the Open Space Committee, but that's not going to be true this time. So we'll kind of leave it open for how frequently and how long. I do have some ideas on that, but I'm not going to talk about that until we're ready to start really forming the committee. So does that sound, so I mean, I would have my druthers to say, I have one plan that says we can meet every other week. I have a different plan that suggests we can meet once a month because we have a long time before this must be finished. And in fact, once we finish it, then the wait for reviews comes in, which is waiting for the secretary of the EOEEA's office at the, in the governor's mansion, not mansion, but the governor in the state. Plus all of our town committees need to review it. But that's not a lot of our work. Still sound interested, Jared?
I am. Yeah, like I said, it's just trying to weigh other commitments I have. Work is incredibly busy lately, but I am interested.
I know that feeling.
I know. What
Okay.
Peter, if you remember, what was the rough date of when we'd have to have it updated and drafted up?
It's interesting. I got it wrong. I thought we had to put it in early to mid 2022.
Mm-hmm.
No, we need to have it in at the end of 2022.
Oh, okay.
So having a once a month meeting should still be plenty if we put in the time during the meetings to get them done.
Hmm.
So Peter, you want a motion to appoint you and Jared as our members?
Yes, please.
So that's a motion. I just made it.
I'll second it.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for. I expected that. All right, let's do a roll call. Clark,
Aye.
Kennan,
Aye.
Gentilucci,
Aye.
Crane, aye. Guess what? We're on it, Jared.
Sounds good.
I would also like a motion to appoint Leah Whiteman to the Open Space Committee to serve on behalf of the Select Board.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call. Clark,
Aye.
Kennan,
Aye.
Gentilucci,
Aye.
Crane, aye.
Peter,
Well,
would you
that's three of us.
like me to
Yep.
send a follow-up email to AgCom and the planning board and the Rutland Conservancy just to kind of make sure it stays on their radar?
Yes, please. And in fact, now that the Master Plan Steering Committee is closed, I'm going to put something on TV and on the website. I'll get Anita to put something on the website announcing our need for volunteers.
Okay, sounds good.
Now, we may have the way that we decided to form the Open Space Committee, I think that we can use AgCom, if they turn out to be interested, as one of the at-large slots. Or we could even decide to assign it specifically to AgCom. Or I guess it's going to depend upon who else wants in. It would surprise me if the Land Conservancy didn't, but maybe they don't. Oh yeah, we're gonna have to set up public meetings and information sessions and blah, blah, fact gathering, public input. I'm gonna love that phase. Anyway, that's all stuff that's looking forward for things we're going to need to do. Anything else in the Open Space Committee?
No, you covered it, Peter.
Moving on, there's a new informational public hearing. This is the weirdest damn non-public public hearing I have ever seen. What did I do? Oh, I'm in the wrong darn place. That's why. So, some of you who've been on the board will remember when I forget the company that came in on behalf of our DPW to say we want to replace the dam the spillway and all of that flows under Route 56 from the pond and just flows downstream towards the mill.
Peter,
who remembers that?
didn't it end up halting because the man that was presenting it got ill and then he couldn't continue on with it and it kind of just fell off?
Well,
I think they withdrew it.
there are a lot of reasons. One of the reasons that it halted was the $2 million price tag of the town.
Well, I forgot that part. Yes, that's true.
So I am not saying, oh no, Tamika, you're wrong. I'm saying there were reasons that it stopped. So does anybody here remember that project? Besides
I do.
Okay, Bill. Skip, I don't remember if you were on then or not.
Yeah, I was on the select board at the time, yep.
On the select board at the time, right?
I think that was
Jared,
Joe and Eric and
yeah,
maybe
Joe and
even
Eric,
Scott and Jake at the time.
right.
It was a long time ago.
It is.
I think Scott was too.
So, that project that we're talking about is all being rolled into the TIP project to reconstruct 56 and make sidewalks all the way from Main Street up to, oh gosh, I should even say right in front of me, up to Brunel Drive. There we go. So I think that's the entrance to, what's the entrance to one of those, one of the Brunel Highlands. So the road reconstruction is being done as a TIP project, which is Transportation Improvement Project, as part of, I don't know if it's part of Complete Streets or not, but anyway, it's replacing it and widening, and by the way, it's going to involve land taking more than likely in order to have the land to build the sidewalks. There's a lot of stuff going on. But this other work, this other replace the dam, fix the spillway, make it betterer project is being done at the same time, but without TIP money. The state is now taking over the whole thing. There is what they are calling a public hearing. You'll notice a public hearing meeting, except that the public's not allowed to be there. There will be a meeting that may have already happened that will be published on January 26th, yes, next Tuesday, which describes the design of the whole project. I don't know of anyone who's invited to the hearing itself. I don't know how this can be considered a public hearing since the public can't be there. But that may have to do with the requirement to have technical abilities for some number of the public to attend, and they may very well have technical limits that just won't allow what they want to do. I don't know what their constraints are trying to be. All I know is that the public's not allowed. You can only view a recording and give comments afterwards. Tamika, can you get hold of any of the plans for that easily?
I don't know. I had a conversation about this and nobody knew where the plans were. Tim Narwald was gonna reach out to Joe Buckley to see if he had them. So I can follow up with Joe to see if it's something that he has available.
I thought that they didn't do a submission, so maybe they didn't give us any paperwork.
Yeah, they weren't sure if anything was here or if it could only be accessed at the state facility in Boston.
Yeah, I wasn't sure because you were the admin when they came in, right?
For this? Well,
no?
Yeah. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Are you talking about just the dam portion of it?
Yes, just the dam portion.
Oh, I apologize. I misunderstood. Yeah, so anything for that would be somewhere upstairs.
Upstairs. Okay.
I think, yeah, that had to have been either late 2017 or 2018. So
Okay.
It should be up there somewhere, but none of them are going to be electronic.
Right, but if we can get the plans, the paper plans, we can scan them. We can use the fire department scanner.
Okay. I would probably help with that. I've never done that before, but I'm happy to help look for that.
Well, if you can find the paper, again, don't spend a lot of time on it. If it doesn't happen quickly, don't worry about it.
Okay.
But especially since more than likely the plans are different because it's somebody else doing it.
Right.
But I'd rather give the commission more information than less information. So if we can find them, if you can find them, I'll get them scanned.
Okay, sure. I mean, I know they've got to be up there because that was during my time, so I know I kept all that stuff together. So it shouldn't be too hard for me to locate it.
It just wasn't clear to me that they actually left us anything because they didn't submit.
No,
So-
if I remember correctly, they did submit, because I think I remember them formally withdrawing it, because we kept continuing it week after week after week after week.
Oh,
And then we ended up withdrawing it because the engineer was ill and then it kind of
right.
stopped. So I think it's very possible we have something up there.
Okay. So
I'll
if
take a look.
you can find it without a lot of effort,
Sure.
then I'll get them scanned and we'll put them up on a Google Drive and take care of it that way.
Okay. Yeah, I'll take a look the next time I'm up there.
Great. So if anybody's interested in watching a state hearing on a project that impacts us, you will probably need to know this magic number. Oh, actually, here's one of the funniest things. Is it on this sheet? Yes. So if you go to this website that's right here, that's the mass.gov/mass.highway design public hearings, this public hearing is not documented there. It's not even says it's going to be there. So it's supposed to just magically appear on the 26th. Questions or comments? I was told that we can expect to get a usual filing, and there will be wetland impacts, and this will, this will be a really bad one in terms of process. Because I also know DCR is going to have to be involved in DEP. There's a lot that one's going to be really interesting when we get there, assuming we get there. Questions or comments?
None here.
What's that?
None here.
Since there are no members of the public, I won't ask for public comment. I will just ask, is there any more business to come before the commission? Hearing none, I will take a motion.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Any other discussion? No. Roll call. Gentilucci,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
Kennan,
Aye.
Crane, aye. We are adjourned. Thanks very much, folks.